Goedenavond, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to Circuit Zandvoort in the Netherlands, just off of the North Sea coast, and welcome back to the place to race, Simsport Racing for GT4 Season 4, and it's the midway point, and once again, I'm glad to be welcoming along my good partner in crime, who's feeling a bit shell-shocked after what's been a very, very interesting weekend. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, and I've got Tim Fullbrook alongside me. Tim, good evening, how are you?
Good evening, Alex. Yes, I'm doing well, thank you. Yeah, as you mentioned, a little bit tired from a busy weekend of sim racing, but like you say, the midpoint of the season, it's kind of wrong and right in equal measure. It seems strange to say that. We've had so much racing action in the 2 rounds already, but I also feel like we're only just getting started in this GT4 season.
Yeah, because in a week's time we head to the second half of it. We head to Italy after this one, to Misano, Paul Ricard for the 10th of February, and then the final round will be at the Hungaroring on the 17th of February 2021. So realistically, there's a lot happening, as always, with GT4 here on Simsport Racing. We have a reverse top 15 after each 45-minute sprint race. So let's have a look at the standings so far after the first 2 rounds. So you can see that Zolder, we saw that Steve Haley was the driver that literally got the jump on everybody, along with Drifter, so Sideways Stephen Haley, as we more commonly know him. Dave Hedges, who would like you to like and subscribe to this video, as normally his Mercedes will have it on the side of it. He was second. Aaron Walker, our Season 1 champion, was third. The current points leader, Luca Burke, was in 4th place, ahead of Miles Dixon. Dave Marshall was given a 1-place grid penalty post-race, dropping him from 5th to 6th, ahead of Alex Buncombe. With Lucas Zentalis in 8th, ahead of Jenson Button, with Zeugas Tovilavicius in 10th, rounding out the top 10. Michael Haffenden from HF Impala rounds out the top 11, ahead of Gavin Utley. John Monroe, who had a spirited drive from the back of the grid at Zolder last time out. Regan Mitchell in 14th, and Daniel Handover rounding out the top 15 positions. So Luca Burke has a lead in the 87 Porsche, 192 points ahead of Season 1 champion Aaron Walker. Stephen Haley on 168, just 8 points adrift, so a pair of McLarens definitely bringing the fight to the Porsche here in Season 4, ahead of Dave Hedges. Dave Marshall, Jenson Button rounds out the top 6 ahead of Aidan Bro. Miles Dixon, Karolis Sipavicius, who is the defending and reigning Season 3 champion. Tovilavicius, Yannick Muller, who's always speedy when he gets things going the right way, but it's been a bit of a difficult order for the number 143 Apex Motorsport Chevrolet. Angus Martin, the second of the HF Impala cars, is actually the leading HF Impala, the 863 Chevy, down in 12th, ahead of Charlie Crossland. Stain Passpont and Lucas Zentalis round out the top 15 positions, and then we go to the Season 4 Championship table. Zansho 3 leads the way by just 18 points ahead of Simsport Racing. Zansho 1 a further 20 points behind, and they are just 2 points ahead of 1001 Racing by Simcoach 101. HF Impala, who were vice champions in Season 2, if memory serves me correctly. I'm sure that Tim will tell me otherwise.
Yes, you are correct there, Alex.
Indeed. I'm glad that my memory's still good at my age. Fun Q, the 2 Ginettas, they're on 182 points. Then it's a tie between Apex Motorsport and Dunn Motorsport on 168 points. Team Fordzilla B on 145. Phantom Sim Racing, Scuba Racing Team, Dunn Motorsport CST, Simbro Sport, Zansho 2 and Simsport Solutions. But one of the biggest things, if you want to find out what is happening on the live timing, you can go to pitwall.live. You can log on via your Facebook or Google accounts, completely free, and you'll get the sector times. You'll also get a dedicated track map. It will tell you the amount of time that has elapsed in the session, as they're in the last sort of 60 seconds. But Tim, it's been rather interesting so far. 2 different winners so far. Luca Burke at the first round, and then of course last time out, we had Steve Haley doing the business, and we have seen quite a lot of action, but we have got 2 absentees, haven't we? Pietro Fittipaldi not with us this evening, and we do understand that Steve Priaulx is otherwise indisposed. He's definitely not smarting over the fact that he got a little tap from behind from a certain Mr. Jenson Button, which caused a domino effect, but we've still got quite a lot of cars on the grid tonight, haven't we?
Yes, and Steve did assure us that wasn't the reason he was choosing to sit out tonight's event. But yeah, a lot of cars, and again, an old school track like Zandvoort, it's really going to be heating up very quickly. And like you say, Alex, about 2 very exciting races so far. It's been mixed results for those who want to establish themselves at the top of the championship order. Luca Burke having a fantastic run at Imola, and then less luck in a tight and twisty battle at Zolder. But Aaron Walker, I think, really is the man who tonight we could keep an eye on. His championship could come down to whether he can bag a good result tonight from a difficult starting position at Zandvoort.
Very much the case. So let's have a look at the starting order. Top 15 are reversed. So starting from pole position is we've got Daniel Handover. So it's effectively the reverse of what you see. So Regan Mitchell will line up alongside him on the front row. Then it's John Monroe and Gavin Utley. Michael Hafferden and Zeugas Tovilavicius. Then it's Jenson Button and Alex Buncombe in the Rocket Esports Porsches on row 4, with Lucas Sentalis and Dave Marshall running out the top 10. Then it's Miles Dixon and points leader Luca Burke, with Aaron Walker, Dave Hedges and Stephen Haley running out the top 15. Stain Passport in 16th ahead of Matt Webb, Adam Isalovic, Karolis Sipavicius and Aidan Bro rounds out the top 20. Angus Martin in 21st ahead of Yannick Muller, Aaron Martin Pilkington, Ollie Gill, Mark Raddenbury, Sebastian de Tolenera, Ibrahim Khan, Colin Dunn, Niall Schlitter, Michael O'Brien, Mark Neutelings, then you've got Simon Wilkes, Charlie Crossland, Gerard DeBar, Kieran Vidago, Ross McGregor, Cameron Fife, Will Dendy, and then you've got Denise Pope and Sebastian Priaulx. So I'm just keeping my eyes. I'm not too sure if I think maybe that Michael O'Brien is the other driver that I might be considering that is not on the grid, as he is on the server. Thank you very much to our broadcast director, as always, Mike. I was just about to say, and we are with Kieran Vidago. So many of the drivers actually deciding to stream. So there are quite a few of them throughout the community that do that. A lot of the drivers that are on tonight, Aidan Bro, I am aware, he's streaming via Twitch as well. Good evening to Frankie Helliwell, and saying good luck to Cameron Fife, and Robster Racing saying good luck to Dave Marshall. And Zandvoort, Tim, a track that I visited myself personally when Mike Rockenfeller took the 2013 DTM title, when Augusto Farfus, his nearest championship rival, won that race. But it is a track that has a lot of history, having been opened back on the 7th of August 1948, and there's there's a lot of people saying that John Hugenholtz was credited with the design of the track, but he was involved as the chairman of the Dutch Auto Racing Club before becoming the first track director in 1949. It has a lot of history here, doesn't it?
Definitely, and it's a track that certainly, even in the modern day, reflects that history. You could kind of put it alongside the likes of Brands Hatch and certainly Zolder, where we visited last week, where the margins for error are very small and very characteristic of those old school circuits. Zandvoort is definitely a track that is not one for the faint-hearted, and tonight, with nearly 40 GT4 cars taking to the grid, it's certainly going to be a battle for your little spot of tarmac out there. Real estate isn't going to be coming cheap for these guys, so it's really going to be an interesting battle, and I'm very much looking forward to it. We saw some action throughout the race last time out at Zolder, but it particularly kicked off in the final 10 minutes, and I have a sneaking suspicion that the exact same format will take place tonight. We'll see a lot of jostling for position in the earlier laps, and then maybe towards the middle people might start trying to eye up where they can find pace and make a move, and then in those final 10-15 minutes I'm certain that we will see some fireworks going off late in the race.
Yes, indeed. 4.307 kilometres, 15 turns in all. Obviously, there is a 2020 variation. Was set to be used last September for the Dutch Grand Prix. But unfortunately, due to obviously what's happened across the globe, that has been sort of postponed. So 2.676 miles, 15 turns such as Tarzan, Gala, Rob Slaughtermacher, and of course the final corner, named after the legend that is Mr. Arie Luijendijk. And in terms of the overtaking opportunities here, Tim, there's quite a lot of them, aren't there? Because you can get 2-3 abreast going into Tarzan, but then when you get to Hunsrück and then Rob Slaughtermacher heading up to Schieflach, you know, those are iconic corners in their own right, and you don't want to get it wrong through that particular section of the track.
No, and like last time out at Zolder, a lot of the overtaking opportunities really present themselves through someone else making a mistake. And on the topic of making a mistake, so why don't we run through my top tips for this week? A lot of people seem to be responding to these quite well and enjoying them, so I'm happy that they are causing some sort of positive effect, just trying to spare the little bit of experience I might have. So the first of my tips is don't overcompensate. So as we were saying, like Zolder, this old school circuit leaves little room for error making, and expansive sand traps that line the circuit owing to the track's proximity to the beach, as you mentioned earlier. But in certain places, like through turn 3 at Hugenholtz and the Audi S, the walls also lay in wait. Sometimes it's a case of when you make a mistake here, not if. And when you do, it's so important not to overdrive post that mistake in an attempt to get back into a rhythm, as this often leads to a second, more costly mistake later in the race. And there we go. Rule number 2, as we're just talking about overtaking, I like to term this one the 3-corner rule. So with overtaking limited in some areas at Zandvoort, drivers need to think in advance if they want to make a move. I've termed this, like we said, the 3-corner rule, where you need to evaluate what corner you want to make a pass and then count back 2 or 3 corners. And that is ideally when you need to start lining up your move, or at least gaining time on the driver ahead to make a move further down the road. For example, a move into turn 1, Tarzan, like you say, is an action spot really at Zandvoort. Normally begins life back at Audi S chicane, and getting one done through the tricky turn 11 starts with a good run through the back section S's up and over the dunes. So you've got to start thinking ahead and be patient. And the final rule there is be there at the checkered. So as we say, tonight's race marks the midpoint, the halfway point of the season, and getting to the flag is now more important than ever as heads start to turn towards the championship standings. Not everything is going to go your way tonight, and it's good to just accept that before we get started. There are going to be bumps in the road, and there's plenty of bumps out there on the track themselves. But the most important thing is to get to the checkered flag in a little over 45 minutes from now.
Very well.
Yeah, sorry, Alex, just quickly. Patience might be your best weapon here. Back the points, brush off the sand that you might encounter, and push on to the next race.
Indeed, because you can see the wind pick up 10 kph there out on the circuit. It's just off of the North Sea coast. It is an absolute delight whenever racing happens here. TCR Europe, ADAC GT Masters, DTM amongst others. It has also in previous seasons also hosted the Formula One Grand Prix, and also when the circuit was originally founded in its previous layout from 1948 to 1989, the lap record was held by Alain Prost in the McLaren Tag Formula One car in 1985, a 1 minute 16.538. We're going to be about 30 seconds off of that pace in these GT4 cars, as we're less than 60 seconds to get things underway with the official formation lap. Also, a few messages coming through. Mr. Priaulx has decided to do a bit of spectating as well. Good evening to my good partner in crime, who will be rejoining me for the upcoming midway point of the GT3 Season 5 campaign we've got going on. That will be on the 7th of February at Autodromo Enzo Dino Ferrari at Imola, a 60-minute sprint race. So that should be a pretty good side of that. And Mr. Priaulx, if you wouldn't mind, please share the stream as wide as humanly possible, my friend. Make sure that people like and subscribe. And I thought I'd do that on behest of Dave Hedges. Ben Holmes has just said good luck to Ollie Giel and Mark Randenbury. Martin D is giving shout-outs for Sebastian de Tolenera. Good to see David Simon on the Facebook stream, as now Daniel Handover starts to leave the field away, and Steve Priaulx has given his best wishes to his teammate, of course, Kieran Verdago, who has got an absolute huge mountain to climb, and there is a lot of elevation change around here at Zandvoort, especially when you go up through Slaughtermacher and then through into Schieflach, which is literally a blind apex. It's a bit like the Dutch equivalent of Paddock Hill Bend. Steve Hinton from Esports Design says, come on, Mr. Haley. He said, John Munro, one to watch this week too. Let's get that AMG on the podium, sir. Cameron Fife is looking to race. So a lot of drivers now. But Tim, in terms of the real opportunistic moves, I mean, I still remember when I mentioned the 2013 penultimate race of DTM. I remember that particular weekend. A lot of people, if there are the old DTM fans out there, when it was the 4-litre V8s, not the Class 1 regulations that have been literally thrown to one side after 2 seasons, a bit like the ITC back in the mid-90s. The contact between Jamie Green and then BMW Works driver Dirk Werner, and that was heading, I think, into turn 9, possibly, or a little bit further down, probably towards the Audi S's. Green went up the inside of Werner, and then the marshal came along and hit the extinguisher button on the left front wing. So Dirk Werner was very, very aggravated and hacked off, I think is the terminology I'll use right now. I still remember him coming into the BMW hospitality, completely red-faced. He must have had a very, very long shower to get rid of all that fire extinguisher dust, and that's one of the real places where we could see a bit of carnage here at Zandvoort. Not just going through Tarzan, because you've got the bumpy undulations before hitting the braking zone, but the Audi S's could really, really put the cat amongst the pigeons tonight. Yeah, definitely. And like you say, a lot of drivers might be leaving here a little bit red-faced. This is certainly a bull ring, if you like, when it comes to action and going wheel-to-wheel with drivers. It's certainly going to be an interesting one, and I'm really looking just a couple of rows down the grid. Alex Buncombe and Jenson Button 6th and 7th. I think after we saw Tovila Vicious not getting away from the line at the start there. I'm really looking at these two real-world pros as going to be making moves forward. We've seen them in pretty strong positions in the both 2 races so far. I'm excited to see if we can maybe get one of them on the podium tonight. Well, we will very soon find out. 45 minutes on the clock. We are getting ready to go racing here at Circuit Zandvoort. There's now Kieran Vidago now makes his way through. And you can see on the main point of his screen exactly where he's been told to stay in terms of the formation. So the radar system on Assetto Corsa Competizione tells the competitors where they need to line up, as now we are getting ready. Ladies and gentlemen, are we ready? Are we steady? Let's go green, green, green here at Zandvoort, as now it's the rundown to Tarzan for the first time. Munro getting into the slipstream behind handover as Regan Mitchell gets one sent up the inside, does he, by Gavin Utley, but then Mitchell round the outside of handover. Munro trying to slot in behind as they go through the first couple of corners, but handover getting a great start. It looks like Angus Walker, I think, has made up a few places, as it is nearly 3 abreast towards the back part of the field. The 2 Simpro Sport Camaros nearly come together, and there are a couple of drivers off already. One of the McLarens says, one of the Zansho cars has had a little bit of a turnaround, and Kieran Vidago has managed to negotiate his way all through that trouble as they head through Schieflach for the first time, with handover leading Mitchell at the moment. What a fantastic start that was. It seemed pretty orderly, but a little bit of bumping and banging from Jenson Button and Alex Buncombe. They're really not letting Michael Haffenden actually get one over on them. So they've managed to already gain a couple of positions, but at the front, a nice defensive start from handover to hold off Mitchell, who was looking round the outside. So we've got Dave Hedges further back in the Mercedes going side by side through turns 10 and 11. Can he hold it round the outside of Dave Marshall? Not quite, sorry. That was Webb there, actually. So yeah, a really surprisingly clean start, despite from that little bumping and barging at turn 3. Yeah, it looks like Alex Buncombe's actually got a drive-through penalty. That means he would have been out of position at the start, so automatically you get pinged for that. And what tends to happen on Assetto Corsa Competizione, you have 3 laps to serve that drive-through. It is automatically done through by the system software, as that's one of the McLarens. That's Steve Haley trying to get his way past one of the Buncombe serving his penalty. Buncombe's gone into pit lane. I was just going to say, is he going to let Button go and maybe help his teammate and friend out? But no, he's dived to pit lane as soon as he had the penalty. So that's probably the wise decision. Get out of any drama nice and early and see if you can pick your way up the field with just under 43 minutes to go. Yeah, indeed, that is the case. We go on board with Regan Mitchell in the number 69 Simsport Racing McLaren 570S GT4. Daniel Handover started from pole position And for the first 2 and a bit minutes, he is still leading the number 43 Aston Martin, followed by the number 224 Mercedes-AMG GT4 of John Munro. Then Gavin Utley started fourth. He's remained in fourth at the moment. Jenson Button in P5, the points leader Luca Burke in sixth, ahead of Haffenden Walker. Zentalis up to ninth, ahead of Dave Marshall in the number 33 Porsche, who rounds out the top 10. And you can just see how much these drivers are really having to work behind the wheel. As we now go back to Stephen Haley, it's actually behind the number 67 of Matt Webb, and then just up ahead of them looks to be Miles Dixon, with Dave Hedges rounding out the top 11. And there is Jenson Button. He's got past Luca Burke in the 87, so Button up to P4, and Utley looking to go up the inside of the 87. Takes a little bit too much curb there, but Button was very, very neat and composed there, wasn't he, going through the Audi S's, Tim?
Yeah, very clean move, looked very nice indeed. And we've got to say, look at Burke and Walker already up the order. That's crucial for the championship battle to see those two already within the top 8. I'm expecting them to move forward indeed, but Gavin Utley doing a nice job in 6th, holding his position pretty well off the start, only losing out to Burke and Button on that second lap. But really, this is starting to file down now into the single line that you can expect to find around much of the Zandvoort lap. Stephen Haley, though, just trying to have a little bit of a look up the inside of the car in front as we cut back to Sebastian de Tolenera. And it's 3 wide at points down here into Tarzan, managing to just about get it all sorted. Bit of a tap from behind that might leave him with some rear damage that he might have to carry for the rest of the race. But here we go, look at that snake already forming. This is further down the order. Poor old Alex Buncombe right at the back of the shot there has got a long way to go.
Well, not just him, Sebastian Priaulx's got a drive-through penalty as well for his troubles, so he's all the way down in around about 36th position. Colin Dunn is the, according to the timing screens, is down the order as well, and Ollie Gil down in, the 18, Janetta down in the pit lane. Tovila Vicious also, I think, is not showing. Yeah, Tovila Vicious, can't really see him circulating at all, so we're down to 37 runners and riders. Adam Misalovic trying to get an upper hand on Yannick Muller. The pair goes side by side as we've got 5 minutes nearly completed in this 45-minute sprint race, but Isalovic using the sheer grunt of the Mercedes, but then the sheer grunt of GM's finest, the Chevrolet Camaro of Yannick Muller, goes back up the inside to retake 19th position. And what's more, the 750 of Mark Raddenbury just behind them. And then you've got Angus Martin in 22nd position. Good to see Michael O'Brien at the moment. He's running ahead of Kieran Vidago, so they've both made up positional increases over the last 5.5 minutes as we head towards the front of the train. And now John Munro finding pressure coming from behind. Oh, and we've had an accident on the start-finish line. That is one of the Zansho cars that has been turned around there. I'm not too sure who that was. That could have been Matt Webb in the number 67, but it's changing all the time. So a few other cars. De Tolenera, I think Denise Pope was a little bit further up the order. She's up to 32nd, so I did see her car maybe drop a couple of places down the order, and that's really going to change the dynamic of the race, because one of the biggest things here, Tim, with nearly 40 cars on the grid, you are going to have backmarker traffic.
Definitely, and with this top train kind of already starting to split away from the field, it won't be long before they might start catching those who have had an unfortunate start to their race. As Walker now, he's really got a difficult position just here in front of Lucas Zentalis, who's trying to make up any position he can. In front of him is my friend and ex-teammate Michael Hafton in the HF Impala car, who's not really in the championship fight, but Walker here, who's currently second place, he's got to weigh up. Do I try and go for a move on someone who's out for race by race results, or do I just sit back and wait and see if drama unfolds as he closes up big time into the Audi S? That McLaren, we've seen how fast that thing is on the brakes and indeed on the power without any ballast. Actually, it looks like Haffenden's trying to get past the BMW of Utley in front, who's now fallen 3 seconds back from Luca Burke in the Porsche. So really, this train is starting to form behind Utley, and it's only a matter of time before someone makes a move, and Haffenden actually had to get on the brakes midway through the final corner. As we cut to a replay, let's see who this is, the number 67.
That's Matt Webb, yeah, and then you've got the 24 That is Steve. That's Steve Haley. Oh, Webb just loses it coming out of the final corner. Oh, and hits Haley into the barriers, but Haley gets away with it. Oh my goodness. That was definitely. Has someone got a dark room and some tablets? I think I might need them round about now. We're not even 15 minutes into this race, but you can just see as the likes of Handover, Mitchell, Monroe, Button, and Burke. I mean, the gaps between them. It's nearly 7 tenths from Handover to, well, make that just over 5.5 tenths back to Regan Mitchell. Monroe a further half a second behind in third place. Luca Burke a further 2 seconds adrift, and he's coming under fire from Jenson Button, with Button running out the top 5 positions. But Gavin Utley staying ahead of Michael Haffenden, as that's the battle for P6, as Zentalis was looking briefly up the inside, but then Dave Marshall gets an absolute flyer of a run on the BMW going through that corner, and Marshall's trying to pin it around the outside of Zentalis to try and force the move there, as we're going back to another replay. And this is a little bit further back down the order, and that is one of the... Oh, that's why Ollie Gill retired. Literally suspension damage by whacking the barriers going up the hill.
He's lucky not to collect anyone there, as he drifted across the track. It's so difficult to control the car when you're going off in that situation. It's lucky that none of those other drivers collected him. That would have been more than one race ruined for sure.
Yeah, that was through, I think that was through Rob Slaughtermacher, which is one of the... But just keep your eyes on the timing screens at the moment, Tim, because the fastest lap of the race has just been set by Kieran Vidago. 1 minute 44.376. He did a 34.062 in first sector, and did personal bests in sectors 2 and 3. 35.835, and then did a 34.4 in sector 3 as Dave Hedges gets up the inside of Miles Dixon for P11 through Tarzan as they head through Gerlach and then into Hugenholz and then Hunsrug as well. So a lot of Dutch pronunciation this evening from yours truly.
You're doing a very good job, Alex. You're smashing it.
Thank you very much, buddy. Really do appreciate that. But you can now see that Regan Mitchell is closing on Daniel Handover for that lead with just under 10 minutes completed. We go on board with a number 69 Simsport Racing McLaren 570S GT4. Now, we saw a lot of great performances from this particular vehicle, courtesy of Aaron Walker, when he was literally going round the outside through multiple corners. I think you hardly took a breath in that particular exchange. I was wincing as we go back to Messrs. Haffenden and the man I was just mentioning. Look at this. This is I'm gonna call it. It's the Haffenden train. He's the cork in the bottle. I'm sorry, Michael. You've been compared to the great Jarno Trulli, my friend. But look how close Walker gets up to the back bumper of the Chevy, the 861, in the braking zone. I'm
sure Michael would argue that it's actually Utley who's at the front of this train, is the locomotive on the front of this one. But look at this. I mean, this is exactly the kind of racing we see at Zandvoort. Walker, he's being patient. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. He's going to either wait for Haffenden to try and make a move on Utley in front, or for Haffenden to make a mistake, which can happen around a track like this. Even the best drivers make mistakes around Zandvoort. But Walker, look at the speed of that McLaren in a straight line as he looks to the outside on the run down into Tarzan, and Haffenden has to defend, and there's nearly a little bit of a wheel bang. Zentalis looking up the inside of Walker, and actually got a tap there. He nearly got spun round by Zentalis. That was a close one. Walker will be happy to have held on to that one. That was very close indeed. Dave Marshall looming large in the mirror behind. But look at this train really forming now, and it's costing Walker time to his championship rival in Burke, who's been battling with Button. I've seen those two have exchanged positions a couple of times. They can't decide who's going to be fourth and who's going to be fifth at the moment, which has allowed the top three really to just scarper away a gap of 1.68 seconds from John Monroe to Jenson Button. But, I mean, look at this battle for the positions 6th and further down.
Yeah, real shame for Matt Webb. Matt Webb's had to bail in the 67 Aston Martin. Obviously, the reason for the incident coming out of the Ari Luyendyk bocht was due to not having any issues with VR before this race, but then had a couple of big lag spikes. First one saw him outbrake himself into the chicane, and then obviously another couple of spikes, and then it was the spin that caused the coming across the track. And he's just said, my apologies for anyone's race I may have ruined in the process. Well, the thing is that that's really noble of Matt to sort of say that and be, just apologetic. This does happen in racing, as we now have got the picture courtesy of our very good friend, our broadcast director Mike Yao, doing a fantastic job as always. You've got Aaron Walker closing on Michael Haffenden, and then you've got John Munro. Munro's got the fire in the belly, and if he gets an opportunity to send it up either the inside of Mitchell or handover, or both of them at one particular point, as Jenson Button. Now I'm looking at the times here. Button is the second quickest. This is fast becoming a five-way scrap for the lead here, with 32.25 minutes still to go on the clock.
Definitely, and that's what happens when you play this patient card that you so desperately need to do at Zandvoort, is you can actually get, you can lose that time that you might have built up to someone. Button now, although he's being hassled by Burke behind, is managing to keep his eyes forward and locked on the back of this Zansho Mercedes GT4 in front, and he's starting to reel him in. Meanwhile, behind, the picture in set there, Haffenden coming under fire again from Walker on the run into turn one, and that's allowed Utley a little bit more breathing room in sixth place at the moment. But really, look at these battles starting to form. We've got quite a tasty fight at the front, and a more a championship is on the line here when you start thinking about if Burke and Walker start making moves that might leave them off in the sand and down the order. If you're thinking about points, you might start thinking, is this move really one I need to make, as Munro's closing up to the back of this McLaren? And I mean, look at the gap. Button's just managed to absolutely halve the thing, it seems, in the last two laps. I think since I last looked at that time, it's definitely come down by a second or so. It's really starting to close up, and like you say, 5 for the lead at the moment.
Yeah, Jenson Button was actually about 2 seconds behind. The gap's now gone to, it's been decimated by 1.3. Well, make it less than that. I think it's going to be under half a second as they come across the line, because Button's just put in a 1:44.814. He's the quickest out of the top 5, just over half a tenth quicker than Luca Burke. You can now see that gap is 5.5 tenths between Munro and Button, and in many respects this is going to do one of two things. This is going to give an opportunity for the two, so Button and Burke, and it could also give an opportunity to Daniel Handover, because all he needs to do is just wait to see what happens behind. He's just got to have the blinkers on like a primed racehorse. Just look forward, not look behind him. Okay, have the occasional glance in the mirrors, but make sure he's nailing his apex points, he's hitting the braking zones at the right point, and also turning the car in, and more importantly, getting the traction coming out of the corners. And at the moment, after, we're on lap number 9, Daniel Handover doing a very good job, as Luca Burke goes fastest in sector 3 on that last lap, as we're about to hit double digits very, very soon in about a lap and a half's time.
Definitely one of those things you wish you could do, is almost turn the mirror off. The worst thing you can do is sit and look at it. You get so distracted worrying about what's going on behind you. Handover seems to be doing the job though, focusing on the track in front of him, and now as the cars behind seem to clump together and start maybe looking for a move, he's going to start finding himself with a little bit more breathing space. In fact, the real question now is, can Button carry that momentum that's seen him gain to this top trio, and can he keep moving forwards? That's the real question for the next half an hour of this GT4 sprint race.
Yeah, it looks like Stijn Pasmont lost out to Yannick Muller on position, and Aidan Bro trying to get past. Not just him, but also Stijn Pasmont's teammate at Fun Q, Aaron Martin Pilkington, as Bro goes a little bit wide coming out of the final corner. 28 minutes and 53 seconds still to go, as you can just see how close everything is. Bro might be losing out of position. That is the case to Aaron Martin Pilkington. And when you look at it, in many respects, that Aidan Bro started down in 20th position, so he has made places. And at the moment, Aidan Bro is currently 6th in the championship, 18 points behind Jenson Button, who is going to do his championship hopes here in season 4. No end of assistance, because you look at it, 134 to 192 for Luca Burke. The good thing is that this could really put Jenson Button into the championship fight. And as I mentioned Alain Prost once in this broadcast, so I'm going to mention it again. His nickname was Le Professeur, which meant that he was consistent, he calculated. And Jenson's very much of that same sort of ethos of thought, wouldn't you say?
Definitely, you know, he's very measured. He will take the opportunity when it presents himself. More often than not, he's got a high conversion rate on getting the job done. But as you were just chatting there, Alex, I was watching the inset camera here, and our leader, Daniel Handover, made a bit of mistake out on the back section of the track, which has allowed Mitchell just to edge a little bit closer. But it looks like Handover's managed to get his act together for the final sector and edge that gap back out again. Really, you've got this fantastic battle for the important positions. You've got this podium fight at the front. You've got this middle pack with Walker, Haffenden, Zentalis, Marshall. It's kind of a championship fight going on in there. Some important positions to be gained for Walker. And then back here to this fight for 15th place with the likes of Yannick Muller, Stein Paspont, Aaron Martin Pilkington and Aidan Bro, who after a disappointing race last time out at Zolder is really going to be wanting to get to that 15th, that golden spot, reverse grid pole for the next race. So some interesting battles forming, and with 27 minutes to go, I'm pretty sure none of them are going to be decided just yet.
Well, at the moment, you remember that we saw that Alex Buncombe got a drive-through penalty on lap 1 through the start phase. Well, Buncombe now up into P25 and is about 10 seconds behind Ross Mcgregor, who has been a bit under the weather as of late. Wasn't able to join us at the recent GT3 race this past Sunday. But, moment for Regan Mitchell. That allowed John Monroe to go like a rat up a drain pipe past him for second position.
Oh, Zentalis.
A moment for Walker. Oh, Haffenden, Zentalis. Oh, and Dave Hedges has literally been like the Cheshire cat that's got the cream, and he's got up the inside. Oh, my goodness me. There was a hell of an exchange there. So Haffenden got caught out, Zentalis got caught out, Walker was thrown amidst the tumbleweeds, and that is just showing how closely fought these battles are here at Zandvoort. But it's just really so bad when someone has that big drama.
Yeah, definitely. The margins are definitely very small round here. It looked like Zentalis went for a move up the inside of Walker. He'd been a little bit frustrated, stuck behind him for so long. As we see Burke going for the move on Button into Tarzan, it looks like he's got it done. Button able to cut back to the inside though and just show him the door out to the exit of turn 1 there. Burke now forced to take the position in 5th place, but Haffenden really the unlucky victim of that carambolage there out in the middle sector. Walker getting biffed around as well, losing a couple of positions. But I mean, poor old Michael Haffenden, he was doing such a fantastic job in 7th place, really keeping it amongst the big guns here, and now tumbling down the order, 23rd position. That's really unfortunate for him.
Right, well, the wind has picked up ever so slightly. It was 10 kph at the start of the race. It's now 13 kilometres an hour. Track temperature, 25 degrees Celsius. A lot of sunshine with the cloud. We're going to see this replay now. Now there was a tap between. That was Zentalis tapping around Haffenden. Aidan Bro completely unsighted. Steve Haley gets through. Aaron Walker, I think, gets one of his 9 cat lives taken away from him there quite unceremoniously. But you could just see that so many of them were having to take avoiding action. And Aidan Bro, currently still down in 17th. I think he got away with it lightly, but I don't think his car did, because he literally had no other alternative. Well, he had nowhere to go.
Definitely, and that's what happens at these old school circuits. We don't have the vast expanses of tarmac runoff that plague many of the Grand Prix circuits of this era, where all the spinning cars or people who have been involved in incidents will just dissipate off into. Now you've got walls and you've got gravel traps where they seem to bounce and ping back off and find their way back into the track, as Burke is trying to find a way back up the inside of Button again into turn 1. This time he's managed to get the move done, and it's him returning to the favour to Button on the exit. And that's a fantastic little battle between these two. That's not the first time we've seen them exchange positions, and I'm pretty sure it won't be the last.
Right, 23 minutes and 23 seconds still to go. We're on lap number 13 as Alex Buncombe going up the inside of Yannick Muller, who's had a disastrous race once again to forget. And so the Brit, who's long time been with RJN, he's also raced with Kelly Racing back in the supercars category at the Bathurst 1000, and Stephen Haley now chasing down Aaron Walker as they're heading through Shoeflag. Look at the amount of damage and scuff marks that are on that number 24, as Aaron Walker knows that Haley's going to chase him down. Miles Dixon's been doing a really good job. Started 11th, now P9. Dave Marshall. And Munro apparently has got past into second position. Indeed. Past Regan Mitchell. So now the tables, they are returning, Mr. Fullbrook.
Definitely, and also Mitchell's fallen off the back of Munro now and is falling into the clutches of Burke, who's definitely a man on a mission, as we can see. And I wouldn't be surprised if Burke tries to line up a pass, as Munro has already jumped the gap up to Handover. He's all over the back of him already on this run down the start-finish straight. Handover going defensive all the way over to the pit wall. Munro looking to the left, then down into turn 1 at Tarzan. Can he make it stick around the outside as Burke has a look at Mitchell? Can't quite get it done. Munro might be able to cut back, but the gap is definitely blocked there by an Aston Martin Vantage GT4. Certainly heating up at the front. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Munro attempt to make a pass in the next couple of laps, as we see Mitchell again going defensive, with Burke looking for a way through. That Mercedes is looking fast.
Yeah, Luca Burke right on the back bumper of Regan Mitchell, and Dave Hedges being not quite assaulted yet, but he's having a lot of pressure from Dave Marshall. And if you want to know where Dave Hedges is on the track, you just look out for the rear bumper on that Mercedes. It'll have his surname front and centre on it as Dave Marshall. Oh! Now, was there a little bit of a touch, or did Hedges just lose it? But that allowed Miles Dixon to get into the fray. A lot of damage on that Mercedes, but how in God's green earth did Dave Hedges hang on to that one? He's going to lose out to Dixon. Now Marshall's fancying another opportunity. This is going to bring Walker Haley, and then also, look in the background, Martin Pilkington gives Haley a little bit of a tap from behind to tell him that he's there.
It didn't look like Hedges jumped. It certainly looked like he was pushed there onto the outside. But I mean, he's used to going sideways, isn't he, Drifted Dave? No wonder he managed to hold that one, keep that one together. As we've just seen, Burke has lost out at the front. And Munro indeed is looking close as ever to the back of Handover for the lead.
Yeah, so we're well over half time in this race. And look, the Miles Dixon trade. Oh my goodness, we thought it was bad enough with Gavin Utley. Look, Miles Dixon has now taken over that spot from Michael Haffenden quite ceremoniously there. But this is where it's going to really, really pay dividends for those that are going to try and get the run, because now John Munro in the number 224 Mercedes closing on the number 43. A couple of cars do run wide. Dave Hedges loses out to Aaron Walker on the start-finish straight. And then Steve Haley looks to stick his nose up the inside, and he does so going through into Tarzan. Hedges trying to keep the car planted. And Haley loses out. And Martin Pilkington around the outside of him going into Gerlach. Has he got the move done? No, he hasn't, because Haley's back up the inside. But Martin Pilkington will have the run for Hugenholtz and darts up the inside of the number 24. And there is Stain Paspon. Michael O'Brien has had an absolutely spirited drive in 14th, and just on his 6 is the number 165 Aston Martin of Aidan Rowe. Just under 19 and a half minutes to go. We ain't done yet, ladies and gentlemen.
Definitely not. These two Ginettas, the funky Ginetta, certainly hunting as a pack at the moment. Haley wasn't able to get any breathing space from Martin Pilkington, but Paspon was there ready to pounce if anything kicked off. And O'Brien doing a fantastic job as now Aidan Rowe recovers to that golden spot, the reverse grid pole position. And this train of cars trying to sort things out. It looks like Pilkington going for a move on Hedges, and just about holding on the inside. Hedges running wide. I think he's struggling with damage in that Mercedes. He's taken a couple of heavy hits running up towards the Audi S. Hedges on the inside. Martin Pilkington not afraid to hang it out around the outside, and he tries this time for the left-hander to get set up, and he goes through Martin Pilkington. What a fantastic move that was. Exactly what we were talking about. Set your moves up in advance, 2 or 3 corners beforehand. And Haley all the way through. No, he doesn't quite. He nearly managed to force his way through on the Mercedes of Hedges. But this train is certainly having a bit of a boxing match between them, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it's definitely haymakers out between Drifter Dave and Sideways Steve at the moment. So you can see a little bit of a wiggle there from Haley trying to go up towards the inside on Hedges through into Tarzan. And then you've got Pasbon going up the inside, well, keeping it in front of O'Brien at the moment. So O'Brien getting a bit racy out there. Obviously, having been in British GT, Michael will know his way around the track. And you can see there that there was a little bit of a doorway opening for Stein Pasbon through on the inside of Steve Haley. But Haley very, very quickly to close that door, as now he's clambering over. Now, as they say, two does not necessarily go into one, but if you time your overtakes right, the three-corner rule, as we had on Tim's top tips earlier on, just before the formation lap, as Luca Burke, picture-in-picture, trying to close on Regan Mitchell, and has got a little bit of a switchback run happening, and he's trying to go up the inside. So that was very, very close, but Luca Burke, the current points leader, not letting him get away. Jenson Button just waiting, biding his time, because if these two come together, Button has got a run at the podium for what will be the first time this season. And you can just see, because we're on board with him in the bottom right hand corner, as Haley and Hedges still battling tooth and nail, and still you can just see that Walker not getting away, but Button just biding his time, isn't he, here?
Definitely. I mean, Button's probably experienced now with this little fight he's been having with Burke. He knows that Burke probably is not giving any spare square inch of tarmac out here on Zandvoort circuit. So I reckon Button's biding his time, waiting for Burke to make that move, make him jump, make him see if he can force the door open with Regan Mitchell, and Button might pull a touring car-esque move and just follow him through and use the freed up real estate caused by a bit of drama in front. But it was really interesting to see, actually, Button. You know, he's dropped off a little bit, giving that kind of safe margin, that safe space between the two cars, just in case something happens. Really measured driving from the 2009 Formula 1 World Champion in his third race as part of the Simsport GT4 season.
Yeah, I mean, as now Burke tries to go up the inside of Regan Mitchell again, and he's got the move done, the points leader up into P3. Mitchell not wanting to get away, but then Button seizes his opportunity, as the old Latin saying goes, carpe diem, and Button keeping it round the outside. That's brave, and it's very bravest, and that's the kind of craftsmanship you would expect to see from the man that with Brawn GP secured the Formula 1 2009 title, but he got so close there. And also, for those wondering what other titles he secured, he also took with Honda Team Kunimitsu back in 2018 the Super GT 500 crown. So Button still very racy, even on esports, with what we've seen in the race All-Stars, the All-Star Series and the Legends Trophy. But Button's got a really, really good run on Regan Mitchell. He got an absolutely brilliant run coming out of the Ari Lyondike corner, but I think he's still a couple of corners away, I fear, Tim.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of laps away, I think, more than likely, if he can get the run on the McLaren, because that McLaren's got some pure pace, even if it is a wounded animal. And
definitely, and I think whilst we've been watching this, correct me if I'm wrong, but Munro looks to have made the move on handover for the lead. I'm not quite sure when that happened. It seemed like all the action was kicking off behind, and he's managed to sneak through and take the lead of the race overall. But Button is looking fantastic in this position. He was looking for a way past Haley, and this McLaren, we've seen how quick it is in a straight line, and I think just really on that run between the hairpin where Button was trying to go round the outside and the Audi S chicane, Mitchell was just able to pull away the legs on that McLaren 570S, taking it away from the Porsche 718 Cayman GT4. As Button now looks to the inside on the screen on your bottom right, he just manages to get the move done. Haley, not taking it lying down, is trying to fight back and trying to get a nice run out of here, turn 11 on the run up towards the Audi S, but I think Button's just got enough of a margin, as it looks like Burke is now closing on handover for second place. Aidan Brono up to 15, so he's in the hot seat for the reverse grid pole.
Yeah, we go back on board with Kieran Vidago currently in, and Vidago. Now the thing is that many people might say, well, if they get into 15th position, is it guaranteed? Not necessarily the case. The reason being is that there is a stewarding panel afterwards. Kieran is one of the rapid guys here on Simsport Racing. He's won in GT4. He's had his fair share at the sharp end of the grid. But yeah, he wants that 15th position. But I'm sure Burke up the inside through Tarzan on handover. So handover in the last 5 minutes has dropped from the lead of the race down to third position. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to quote what Jorge Villar has said. Jenson wants the podium. You're absolutely spot on there, because now Button is not that far behind handover. And when you look at the lap times, handover did a 1:49.966. Button did a 1:45.513. So I think the pendulum is very much swinging in the favour of a Mr. Button, Tim.
Definitely, and he's been able to carry that momentum that saw him bridge the gap to the podium fight. He's managed to hold on to it. It's there, ready really to use at his advantage. That pace deficit really that we're seeing handover have is starting to show its place as Munro makes the way through. Handover's likely to maybe come under pressure from Button. Mitchell behind. There's a nice healthy gap though back to Gavin Utley in sixth, so this top five really have the boxing ring all to themselves. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some more moves made as we cut back to Will Dendy, who's trying to make a move on one of the other Zansho cars in front. That's Ross McGregor, who's one of the quick drivers in GT3 and turning his trade to GT4. And Dendy looking up the inside and manages to always shows the door to McGregor there. And McGregor loses out to Raddenbury, and Haffenden now waiting in the wings to make a position up as well after being punted earlier on. Wow, what a battle. I'm pretty sure the stewards might be having a little word with him. It wasn't a car's width battle.
And the team boss,
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, Ed from Zansho will definitely be having a debrief with those two drivers after the race, I can guarantee you that much. But you look at it from this perspective, Will Dendy started all the way down the order. He started in around 37th, 38th position. Ross McGregor started in the top 35. So these drivers have made up at least 15 positions. As I just saw that Hedges had Haley dart to the left-hand side heading into Tarzan to try and cut back and get the momentum with just under 11 minutes to go. These two are battling like a pair of children, battling over the final available swing in the playground, as Luca Burke now sizing up John Munro for the lead. Now the thing is that we could possibly have on our hands a two-time race victor in Season 4, or we could have three different winners from three different races. Keep your eyes on the gap between Jenson Button and Daniel Handover. Now that is looking rather close indeed. It was 4/10. I think it's even less than that, as Burke right in the slipstream of John Munro. Munro has just got to go defensive, make the rear end of that Mercedes as wide as humanly possible. It is so close, but getting the inside run for the very next right-hander, it is John Munro. This is the Audi S's we're now going through in the minute, and then they're going to go through into the penultimate corner as Haley. Oh, a little bit of a touch there between the pair of them. Hedges got a tap on the left rear courtesy of the right front of Haley, and that was definitely the touring car pushed to pass a la Jason Plato. And Button makes the move past handover, but P3 out of the final corner with just under 10 minutes remaining. This is still absolutely frantic right now, Tim. I cannot believe what I'm seeing with my very own eyes as Burke trying to go around the outside through Tarzan on Munro.
The fuse on this race is certainly longer than I thought, or it seems to just be setting off fireworks at every single possible occasion. Burke is eyeing up this lead position in front, but he needs to be careful, because behind, the man he's been battling with all 35 minutes of this race so far, Jenson Button, is now going to try and close that 1 second gap to the front two, and will certainly be having a say on who gets what position in the top three.
I know it's not Italy, but the words right now coming from my mouth are definitely Mamma Mia. Of course, one famous Dutchman says that. It's FIA WTCR's very own Tom Coronel. And John Munro went too deep. He's trying to get the cutback, but Luca Burke has got back into the lead. But you can see that Button's trying to fend off. Is he trying to fend off handover, or are they going to try and go for? You know what? I don't think Button wants the podium. He wants the victory. And whilst these two in front, Burke and Munro, are scrapping, Button's got the win. He's got that window of opportunity. There's still 8.5 minutes. Anything can happen, and I cannot believe that if someone was to say to me, you'd have a four-way scrap for the lead at Zandvoort in GT4 and Jenson Button will be one of those four drivers, I would have not believed you. I'm believing it right now.
definitely. I mean, take a look at this train at the front now, starting to form up. 4 cars looking to bunch together, but Burke will be wanting to get those afterburners on and really stretch away from Munro, who's certainly be looking for a way back past him if he can. Aaron Martin Pilkington now up into 8th place, a stellar drive from the Fun Q. Janetta driver all over the back of Miles Dixon, who's had a really strong running as well. These two seem to have made the moves where they need to and kept out of drama as Martin Pilkington goes to the outside down this front straight, coming on the run up into Tarzan. Can he get it stopped around the outside? He looks pretty alongside. He's making the move work, but Miles Dixon might be able to close the door on exit. He doesn't. There's a bit of wheel banging, and they're side by side through turn 2 and 3. If Pilkington can hold it around the outside, he can. And look at that. What a fantastic move. And wow, another position gain for Martin Pilkington. But the Janetta certainly showing some battle scars now with 7 minutes to go.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is Aaron Martin Pilkington started down in 17th position. He's now made up 10 places as Matt Webb, who's now spectating. I see that he actually gave us his race number and said on the YouTube chat about the VR issues and the lag spikes. He said Handover is making that Aston do things it's not supposed to do. Very well put, Mr. Webb, I must say, as there's Stain Passport trying to close up on Dave Hedges, as now Steve Haley has got a bit further up the road to the tune of about 1 3/4 seconds. Oh,
Button!
Moment for Button! Moment for Button! What on earth happened there? Was there a tag?
It looks like Handover might have involved. Handover was slow as well, so that's the indication that they're both involved. Maybe Handover let him go. We're getting word from our race broadcaster Mike Yao that Handover let him go, but wow, there you go, there are the fireworks. But somehow Button is still in 3rd place, so it's all fair and square, and 6 minutes to go. Second race in a row obviously for Button that he's been punted, so he's holding on to this podium position, but he might be able to just about keep it to the flag, provided Mitchell behind doesn't want revenge and Handover doesn't want to try and make his way back up to the podium.
I'm really feeling sorry for Ed from Zansho, because he's got a big team debrief coming, and I think there's going to be a few opinions raised after tonight. But yeah, I think I've just been told that Handover might get his P45 in the post by email. You never know. But the thing is that when you're absolutely battling away, these things do happen. Jorge Villa said earlier on in the chat, rubbing is racing. That is very, very true. It's very tight and technical, but still to be you know what this has also gifted the opportunity for here, Tim, is the fact that now let's go to the replay first. Okay, so Button is closing on Monroe, Handover's also closing, and I think this might be a possibility where it's an outbreak. Yeah, look, yeah, dear. Outbreak going into the outbraked himself going to the ADSs. I don't think he judged it fully and just went into the back of Jenson Button, and then there's Regan Mitchell to pick up the pieces. So Handover drops from 4th to 5th as a result of that. It is a mistake, you know, when you're pushing like crazy for 40 plus minutes. You know, there's going to be the lactic acid build-up. You might get a slip in concentration, and that caught out Daniel Handover, and Jenson Button, luckily enough, got away with that one, but not scot-free.
No, but it was good to see the sportsmanship between them. Yeah. Handover very willing to hold his hand up and say that was my mistake, and the stewards looked favourably upon that as he pulled over off the racing line, slowed down, and despite losing a position, look, worst case scenario is you get a penalty and you fall even back down the order, even further. So fantastic stuff from both of them. Handover holding his hand up and saying, yeah, I made the mistake, as he goes a bit wide there trying to look for a way back past Regan Mitchell, but yeah, it's certainly one of those late race mistakes that often creep in when you've been battling so hard for so long. And Handover, who was leading for an early, quite a sizable portion of the race, probably a bit upset with himself to make a mistake like that after such a strong showing early on.
Yeah, very much the case. Good to hear from Aidan Millward as well. If you no longer go for a gap, well, there wasn't a gap there that Daniel needed to go for, I'm afraid. But yeah, I think it's just the case that these drivers are just pushing like crazy, and when you've got the calibre of drivers in this field, it's just been absolutely fantastic. Just seeing all the racing so far, it's not been it's not been great for some drivers. It's been good for others. Aidan Bro still sitting in 15th position at the moment with 3 minutes still to go on the clock. Kieran Vidago is about just over 0.4 of a second away from him in what is 16th position. So he's effectively in the danger zone as we see a little bit of a run wide there from Michael O'Brien, just up ahead of Aidan Bro. And Michael O'Brien actually he's just flashed at Stain Passpont as if to say, oh mate, out my way, I'm coming through. And definitely. The thing is that this will put him, if Michael finishes in 12th position and that result stands, he will be on the outside of row 2 for the next round at Misano in a week's time. As now handover, trying to put it around the outside of Mitchell through Tarzan, lights up one of the tyres going round the outside in the process. As I think we are now effectively on the penultimate lap of the race with about 2.25 minutes still to go. And you can just see it's absolutely kicking off at the back, because now Kieran Vidago going side by side with Aidan Bro onto the approach into Tarzan. Bro holds on for the minute.
That definitely would have been Vidago's target starting this race. Can I get up to that hot seat in P15 and get the pole for the next race? As it looks like one of the cars skating through the grass there, but Vidago, a man on a mission. He's got Aston Martin in front. He's going to be looking for a way past. There's a slow car on the left side. That's Miles Dixon, I think, going slowly. He's dropping down the order. I wonder if he's run out of fuel with over a minute and a half to go. That'll be heart-wrenching for Dixon. He's done such a fantastic job. As we jump back to the front, handover looking for a way past Mitchell, still trying to get this move done, and he's really hanging that Aston Martin out, trying to get this move made with 1.5 minutes to go. It's life left in this one, Alex, with a matter of seconds remaining.
I know, because we're about to go on to the final lap very, very shortly, because now Luca Burke has got a 2.3 second gap over John Munro, with Jenson Button a further 3 seconds adrift. So the podium pretty much has sorted itself out in the dying throws. Regan Mitchell and Daniel Handover yet to decide, well, who's going to make that decisive move, as Luca Burke now goes on to the final lap of the race. Daniel Handover a bit wide to the left-hand side out of the final corner, but still keeping the throttle planted to the floor. A question asked by Matt Webb, where did Will Dendy start? Well, he started around about 37th position, I think, if memory serves me correctly. So more than likely he was right at the tail end of the field. So we are on the final lap. The leader, so Luca Burke now coming through Rob Slaughtermarker and into the blind right-hander at Shivlak, which has taken at quite a pace, I might add. So this has really sorted out everything, but we're going to now see behind hedges there's Passpont, O'Brien, Bro, Vidago now in P15. So fantastic. That has really changed everything as the timer strikes 0. Luca Burke coming through turn 10 as we speak, and then we'll have the final run down to the Audi S's. And at the moment it's Burke, Munro, Button, Mitchell, Handover, Utley, Martin Pilkington up from 17th to 7th, Marshall, Walker, Haley, Hedges, Passpont, O'Brien, Bro, Vidago, Hendy, Haffenden, McGregor, Isalovic, Muller rounding out the top 20. But there are just 2 more corners to be negotiated. Make that 1 more now as heading through the Arie Luyendyk-bocht, the number 87 of Luca Burke from Zansho Simsport comes out of the final corner after 26 laps and takes the checkered flag to take his 2nd victory of the season. John Munro takes 2nd ahead of Jenson Button in the number 22, with Button taking his first podium. And Aidan Bro in the last gasp has just taken 2 positions. He's gotten himself up to, what is that, 13th place, as Mitchell takes 4th, Handover in 5th, Dave Marshall takes 6th, Gavin Utley 7th ahead of Aaron Martin Pilkington, Aaron Walker in 9th, Steve Haley, Dave Hedges, Stain Passpont, Aidan Bro in 13th, Kieran Vidago in 14th position. And it looks like, hang on a second, I've just seen that Michael O'Brien has got the checkered in 15th position. Wow. Well, my goodness me. Will Dendy, what a drive from him. He was literally from 37th. That's 21 places gained. He finishes P16 as we've got Denise Pope finally, good to see this lady get to the finish. She'll finish down in 30th position behind the likes of Gerard de Bar, Sebastian Totolinera and Niall Schleter, but Denise Pope will finish her first race with us here at Simsport Racing after the house being flooded. The Sims now all set up upstairs in the house in Kettering, and here she comes. Great to see her cross the line. But what a race! What a race here this evening! I cannot believe it.
It's 3 from 3, isn't it, Alex? 3 different winners, but also three absolutely.
No.
Sorry.
No, Luca Burke second. Yeah, Luca Burke second. Stephen Haley was the only other driver that has done that. And
well, it's 3 from 3 cracking races anyway. Should we say that? That's still 3 from 3.
Yes, indeed. But just for a bit of a refresher, reference the calendar left. I mean, if Zandvoort was anything to go by, I wonder what Misano is going to be like in a week's time for round 4. Then we've got Le Castellet pour Ricard. That's the penultimate round of the season, and then the Hungaroring. That's the 10th and the 17th of February. Obviously, we've got our halfway point of the GT3 Season 5 campaign set to take place on the Sunday after round 3 of Season 4 of GT4, which will take place at Misano. That will be at Imola for the GT3s, and that'll be a 60-minute race. But I cannot believe that race, we just had everything in it. I thought Zolder was crazy. Zandvoort. You know, they say that sometimes the Dutch are crazy. Well, this circuit was absolutely maniacal tonight.
It certainly offered up the goods, didn't it? I mean, we were looking at battles for the lead, we were looking at battles for the mid-pack, and even for that pole position, and undoubtedly even further down the order there was fantastic battles for the lower positions, which everyone here at Simsport enjoys. Every position is worth fighting for, and it's normally a hard and fair fight, which is exactly what we saw again tonight. A fantastic drive from Burke. That's going to pay massive dividends towards his championship battle with Aaron Walker, who was caught up in that drama mid-race with Zentalis and Happenden, that saw him drop back down the order to, I think he ended up finishing just on the lower reaches of the top 10, but a win, and compared to top 10 for Walker, that's really going to see that points difference push out between the two as we head into round 4 of 6 next time.
Yeah, so I'm going to now head down to the interview booth and have a chat with a couple of drivers. So I'll be back with you in just a moment, Tim.
Well, sure thing.
Right, we're down in the interview booth ahead of what's been an absolutely brilliant third race of Season 4 GT4 here on Simsport Racing. First up, congratulations to our race winner for the second time this season, Luca Burke. Well done. That was definitely hard fought. I think there were so many different twists and turns that we didn't know who was going to end up picking up the victory, but 2 out of 3 and an extension in the points lead. You must be really happy, Luca.
Yeah, just give me a second. I still need to catch my breath.
You're not the only one. You're not the only one.
But yeah, that was just mad. I did not expect to end up where I did. Like, I know this track is very difficult to overtake on. Like, I tried, trust me, I tried in practice, but yeah, I just had a fantastic start. Somehow ended, P6 or 7 on the first lap, and then just, yeah, made my move whenever there was a chance. And wow.
Yeah, I definitely know that you've deserved a very, very cold drink after tonight's race, because that was not easy for anybody out there. But just talk us through. I know that you were pushing John quite hard, obviously, when Dan Handover got overtaken by him. Then you managed to get past Dan as well. It really sort of started to speed things up, and then you thought, well, hang on, if I just keep the pressure on, I'm going to have that opportunity, and sort of a window presented itself, didn't it?
Well, there was a bit more to it. I mean, I'm sure if I don't mention it, John, we basically had issues with punctures. And, well, John had, 3 was it, I think?
Yeah. 4 by the end of it.
Oh, even 4. And I was on 2 as well, but yeah, it made a big difference, I think. So just caught up really quick then and made the move when it came along.
So obviously you now go into Misano in a week's time with an extension in the lead of the championship, but it's not going to be easy. You know, we've had 3 different champions in GT4 here on Simsport Racing. It's going to get even tougher at Misano, Ricard, and then Hungaroring over the next 3 weeks. What are your thoughts about sort of just constantly keep pushing and just go for the W, and if it's even a top 3, the consistency will still be there to keep you in the hunt for the championship, I would imagine. Is that right?
Yeah, just try to climb up as far as I can, really. Just get as many points back then, because you never know when something goes wrong. Like, don't want to like take it easy on a round, you know, and then, I don't know, the next round I get taken out, for example. Just try to be consistent, get as high of a finish as possible every time, just keep banging in those points.
Well, congratulations, Luca. Well done tonight, and we'll see you at Misano in a week's time.
Yep, thank you.
And good to welcome back to the podium here on Simsport Racing. God, it's been a long time, hasn't it, John Monroe?
It's pretty brutal, Alex, but probably true.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it was really good to see the spirited drive that we had from you last time out. But Luke was saying that, you know, punctures were an issue here as well, because those curbs here at Zandvoort aren't really that helpful at the best of times, especially if you clog them quite specifically.
Yeah, I mean, they were an issue, but to be fair, you know, I think I had a couple of punctures by the halfway point, but then Luca got a couple as well, and it's the same for everyone, you know. So yeah, it was a great race. I think it was a great example of what the reverse grid can do as well, because, you know, at the start I felt like I had slightly stronger pace than the 2 in front of me, and I was just looking after my tyres. I could not overtake Mitchell in the McLaren for the life of me, because he was so quick in a straight line. But yeah, it worked really well, because, you know, the 2 in front I managed to kind of keep the pressure on them, and they made a few wee mistakes, so I got up into the lead. But I always knew that Jenson and Luca were going to be right there, and it was obviously at one point in the race Jenson was right behind me, and it was good that, you know, nothing happened there. We managed to kind of stay in line, and he must have been really frustrated trying to get through. But yeah, once I took the lead, I kind of thought I was going to hang on, but then I saw Luke in P2 and I knew it was going to be tough. And to be fair to him, he did an amazing job to come through the grid like he did. And yeah, I couldn't quite hang on. You know, I thought that if I made no mistakes, I should have a good chance, and I thought we and Luca were going to have a really good battle, but he absolutely nailed the kind of kink right before the 2 slow hairpins, right on the same lap as I got it a bit wrong. And I could blame the punctures all I like, but it's not really a good enough excuse, because he just hit it perfectly, got down the inside, and as soon as that happened, I knew it was over. So yeah, it was awesome from the other guys, and yeah, great race all around.
I think really that's very much the case here at Zandvoort. It's not an easy track to pass at, but if you get it spot on, you can really, really nail one up the inside. We've seen that with a lot of drivers, yourself notwithstanding. I mean, you know, Jenson, quite a few others as well. Dave Marshall was trying to do his level best to get around the outside of people going through into Tarzan. We saw that from Aaron Martin Pilkington. This has been a really tough test, but then going to Misano in a week's time, that's going to be even tougher.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Merc was really, really strong at Zolder. It was probably the quickest car, and I probably had the pace to fight for a win there. But obviously, it was starting 36th, and then this time it was kind of the opposite. The Merc wasn't too great around here, and I was starting at the front. So I don't really know how the car's going to be at Misano. I've never driven GT4s there, but if the car's competitive, and hopefully it will be, then I think it's going to be another really good fun race. I think Misano is probably one of the most underrated circuits in the game. It can produce really, really good racing, and I think there's a kind of nice mixture of elements: fast, slow corners, curbs, smooth corners, all sorts. So yeah, it should be really good fun. I'm going to enjoy starting around about 14th on the grid, and obviously I'll have JB and Luca around me, and 3 of us can try and make our way through again.
Well done, John. Congratulations. I know it was so close for the win, but great effort. Well done.
Thank you very much.
And our driver taking his first podium in Simsport GT4, Jenson Button. Jenson, congratulations. I know that it was so close for the W this evening after the incident between yourself and Dan, but still a very close race.
It was. That was fantastic. It's always really, really close. I must say, guys, you put on a very good event, a lot of fun out there, and you know, a lot of respect as well, which is great. Big thanks to Mike as well for broadcasting the race. Very, very thankful. No, that was awesome. That's really good fun. I don't think Luca likes me very much. He seems to want to punt me up the back quite often, but it probably is my lagging that I'll put it down to that, because I know he's not a bad human being. But no, really, really good fun. It was so much fun, and really difficult to overtake, as the guy said. So you really had to go for it when you could. We did a lot of driving together, John, myself, and Luca. So we kind of knew where the places to overtake were, but the McLaren was just super speedy in a straight line.
And obviously now this is, we were seeing on the YouTube chat during the stream, Jenson, that, what was it? One of the guys went, yeah, Jenson's after the podium. And I said, well, maybe there's a possibility that, with the pace that you were showing, you were at times were quicker than the four guys around you. So obviously you had Luke, you had John, you had Daniel behind you, and you also had Regan Mitchell in the 69 McLaren. There was that opportunity, but after the incident with Dan, it sort of scuppered it a little bit. But you just thought, well, I've got an opportunity for championship points coming into this round after a ninth at Zolder last time out. It really does show how to build a championship, and you're an exponent of that as well in both Formula One and also with Team Kinomitsu back in Super GT GT500 when you won the title. I
must say I wasn't thinking of that today. It's just fun to race every Wednesday. It's been awesome racing with you guys, and I had the same thing as Luca and John with punches, so front right, rear right punches, which is a bit of a pain. I also had quite a bit of damage from the incident with Luca, but made it a little tougher, but so much fun and really nice to get some proper lunges in, which was good fun. So really nice racing with these guys. These guys are super fast. I'm so happy that the Zansho guys have come over to do these races to make it very, very competitive.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you as part of the grid as well, Jenson, and I mean that sincerely. And well done tonight, and we'll look forward to seeing you in a week's time at Misano.
Thank you. Congratulations, Luca. Is that the response you get?
Thank you very much.
He's crying in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Good job, mate.
Cheers, man.
Yeah. So, some really good comments there from our top three. Luca Burke, our winner for round 3 here at Zandvoort. John Monroe, our runner-up, and of course, Jenson Button, our third place finisher. Just really good to hear. But obviously, the punctures, that was a really, really big selling point that we could see. That was probably why maybe the likes of Regan Mitchell and Daniel Handover might have had punctures as well, Tim. So that would have eked into the strategy calls there by the drivers respectively.
Definitely. I mean, they suck big time when you get those punctures here on ACC. They really knock your pace heavily. But exciting to see that reality was they drove round those really well. You've got to credit these guys for keeping that pace so high at such a high level, despite the fact that in some cases, I think John said there he had 3 punctures and Burke had 4 towards the end. So really got to credit these guys for dealing with the problems that present themselves and driving around them and keeping that pace at a fantastic level. But also I'd like to add, it's great to hear that friendly kind of camaraderie, but sportsmanship banter between these guys. Jenson Button doesn't want to get beaten by these chaps, but also these guys want to beat Jenson Button. So there's a nice kind of give and take between them, and it's fantastic to see, obviously, as teammates in their involvement with Zansho, etc. But it's fantastic to see that they're out there having a good time whilst going wheel to wheel.
I think one of the nice things when Jenson said to me that I wasn't quite thinking about a championship right now, he was absolutely spot on, because that shows the true credit of what a racer he is. That's what any racer worth their salt, be it in real life or be it in the esports world, that just screams volume. And it's great to hear from him as well directly on the stream. Been a big fan of his for a long time. I'm not fanboying or anything like that, but having watched his career, I might be, the broadcast director might say I might be, but I followed his career since he came into Formula One 21 years ago. He's now a special advisor with the Williams. He's got his own Extreme E team as well. So, the guy's done quite a lot. And to hear just sort of like saying I was having a lot of fun out there, that screams volumes about what Simsport Racing is all about.
Definitely. Exactly, it's all about having fun, and people will be looking towards that championship because this is where their sim racing careers have led them to. This is another title to fight for, but it's great to see that everyone involved, it doesn't matter if you're a Formula One world champion or someone who's just got a new rig for Christmas, you can enjoy the action and you can be going up against some of these guys. I mean, what a fantastic opportunity that is, and what a race to remember this evening. Another brilliant event, another brilliant showing between these guys, and once again the GT4 machinery keeps on giving.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much as always for your welcome insights in Fullbrook, and thank you for joining me once again. I'm looking forward to catching up with you next week at Misano. What are your thoughts ahead of that race?
Well, I mean, if it's anything like what we've seen the last 3+ rounds, then it's certainly going to be another thriller. But a very different style of circuit, a more modern one, flatter curves, and some very fast, open, sweeping corners. There's also that space for multiple line action, you know, side by side, 3 wides, 4 wides. And I wouldn't be surprised if the chaps and chapettes in the Simsport GT4 grid really serve that up for us next week.
Yeah, so that is it for us here at the North Sea Coast at Circuit Zandvoort in the Netherlands. Don't forget, you can head to our relevant channels. You can go to our Facebook group at Simsport Racing. You can go to Simsport_Racing on Twitter, Simsport.Racing on Instagram. You can also head to our official website, which you can see on your screens right now, simsport-racing.com. You can also meet the team, which I'm pleased to be a part of as the voice of Simsport, but also the community itself. You can just see how to join. You'll also see the links to our relevant Discord servers and everything like that. But join us in 7 days' time. We head to the Misano World Circuit Marco Simoncelli for the start of the second half of the season. And now it is time to really get down to business in Italy. So on behalf of myself, Alex Goldschmidt and Tim Fullbrook, thank you very much to everyone for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, look after yourselves, and above all, good night.